Some things happen on our planet that are so bizarre they just don't seem real. I'm talking about phenomena that look like they belong in a sci-fi movie, but they're actually happening right here on Earth. We've got waterfalls that seem to bleed, and lightning that literally erupts from volcanoes. These are the kinds of things you truly have to see to believe. So today, we're counting down some of the most baffling and incredible events on our planet. We're about to take a trip to the corners of the globe, looking at things that will make you question what you thought you knew about the world. Seriously, some of these events are so visually stunning and so strange, they prove that the world around us is way more fascinating than any story we could make up. So let's get into the science, the mystery, and the pure awe of what our planet is capable of. Number 12. Lenticular clouds. First up on our list is something that gets mistaken for UFOs all the time. You've probably seen the pictures. These incredibly smooth lens-shaped clouds that just hang in the sky like a stack of plates. Or, you guessed it, a flying saucer. They're called lenticular clouds, and while they look otherworldly, the explanation is right here on Earth. Basically, when a steady flow of moist air moves over a big mountain, it gets pushed upward and creates a wave. That air cools down, the moisture condenses, and you get a cloud that perfectly mimics the shape of that air wave. The craziest part is that even with high winds whipping through it, the cloud itself doesn't move. It just stays there, looking like an alien ship parked over Mount Fuji or Mount Rainier. Number 11. The sailing stones of Death Valley. For decades, one of the biggest mysteries in the American Southwest was the case of the sailing stones. Out on a flat, dried-up lake bed in Death Valley, huge rocks, some weighing hundreds of pounds, were somehow sliding across the ground on their own, leaving these long tracks behind them. Nobody ever saw them move. People guessed everything: hurricane force, winds, strange magnetic fields, even aliens. But in 2014, scientists finally cracked it, and the real answer is just brilliant. It turns out you need a very specific set of things to happen. First, a light rain covers the desert floor. Then that thin layer of water freezes overnight into giant window-pane-thin sheets of ice. When the sun comes up, the ice starts to melt and break into floating panels. All it takes is a light breeze to push these huge ice sheets, which then shove the rocks in front of them, sliding them silently across the mud at about 5 meters a minute. Mystery solved. Number 10. Raining animals. Okay, this next one sounds completely made up, but it's real. It can literally rain animals. And this isn't new. Reports go all the way back to ancient Rome, with the naturalist Pliny the Elder writing about storms of fish and frogs. More recently, jellyfish fell on a town in England in 1894. And there was a shower of earthworms in Louisiana back in 2007. The leading scientific theory points to tornadic waterspouts. Think of them as giant vacuums that suck up water from a lake, and along with it any small animals swimming around. These creatures get carried for miles inside the storm clouds, and then eventually they fall back down with the rain. But here's the truly weird part that science still struggles with. It's almost always just one type of animal. Not a mix of fish and frogs, but just fish or just frogs. Number 9. The Taos hum. Can you imagine hearing a constant, low-pitched humming sound that you just can't get away from? It's not your fridge. It's not traffic. It's a sound with no source you can find. For a small number of people in Taos, New Mexico, this is a maddening reality. They call it the Taos hum, and those who hear it describe it as a droning noise, almost like a diesel engine is idling just out of earshot. It can cause headaches, dizziness, and sleepless nights. Researchers from major labs and universities brought in sensitive equipment back in the 90s, but they never found where it was coming from. Theories are all over the place, from industrial equipment to the idea that the sound is actually being generated inside a person's own ear. To this day, the Taos hum is a genuine, unsolved acoustic mystery. Number 8. Fairy Circles of Namibia. If you look out across the grasslands of the Namib Desert, you'll see the ground is covered in millions of strange, barren circles. These are called fairy circles. They're these perfectly round gaps in the grass laid out in an oddly beautiful honeycomb pattern. Local folklore says they're the footprints of gods, or that an underground dragon's toxic breath kills the plants. For a long time, scientists had two main theories: either sand termites were creating them, or the plants were organizing themselves to survive with very little water. Recent research strongly suggests it's all about water. The soil inside the circles dries out so fast after it rains that new seedlings can't survive, while the grass on the outer ring hogs all the moisture, creating the bare patch in the middle. Number 7. Frozen methane bubbles. In the winter, a lake in Canada called Abraham Lake turns into a breathtaking art installation. Just beneath the clear, frozen surface, you can see stacks of white, frozen disks that look like they're suspended in time. These are frozen methane bubbles. It all starts with dead plants and animals on the lake bed. As they decompose, they release methane gas. The bubbles rise toward the surface but get trapped in the freezing ice on their way up, creating these beautiful layered towers. But as amazing as they look, they're also a serious warning. Methane is a powerful greenhouse gas, and as the climate warms, huge amounts of it trapped in northern lakes just like this one could be released into the atmosphere. So this beautiful sight is also a stark reminder of our changing planet. Number 6. Penitentes. High up in the Andes Mountains, over 13,000 feet, you can stumble upon a field of tall, sharp blades of ice called penitentes. The name is Spanish for penitent ones because they look like a crowd of monks in white robes kneeling in prayer. These bizarre spikes, some over 15 feet tall, are carved by the intense sun in the cold, dry air. It's a process called sublimation, where sunlight turns snow directly into vapor without ever melting it. The sun's rays don't hit the snow evenly, creating dimples. These dimples then trap more sunlight, which speeds up the carving process, sculpting the snow into these sharp, jagged spires that all point toward the sun. It's a surreal and treacherous landscape, first written about by Charles Darwin himself. Number 5. Naga fireballs. Every year in Thailand and Laos, thousands of people line the banks of the Mekong River to see something truly baffling. After sunset, glowing reddish orbs, some small and some as big as basketballs, rise silently from the water, float up into the air, and then just disappear. This is the Naga Fireball Festival. According to local legend, the fireballs are the fiery breath of a mythical serpent called the Fire Naga, who lives in the river. Scientists have a few theories but no solid answers. One idea is that bubbles of methane gas from the riverbed could be igniting when they hit the air. However, there's no direct proof of this, and many are skeptical, pointing to a much simpler explanation. A prominent theory suggests the fireballs are nothing more than tracer rounds being fired from the other side of the river, either as a prank or to entertain tourists. The truth is, nobody knows for sure. Number 4. Brinicles. The icicles of death deep under the ice in the polar seas. Something that looks like it's from a horror movie happens. It's a descending tube of ice, an underwater icicle reaching down toward the ocean floor. It's called a brinicle, but it has a much better nickname, the icicle of death. A brinicle forms when super cold, extra salty water or brine leaks out of the sea ice. This brine is heavier than the seawater around it, so it sinks. As this freezing cold plume drifts down, it flash freezes the slightly warmer seawater it touches, forming a hollow ice tube around it. When this finger of ice hits the seabed, it keeps spreading, creating a web of ice that freezes and traps any slow-moving creatures like starfish or sea urchins that can't get out of its way. Number 3. Volcanic lightning. As if a volcano erupting wasn't dramatic enough, some of them come with an extra feature, volcanic lightning. It's also known as a dirty thunderstorm, and it happens when the eruption itself creates the lightning, not a storm cloud. There are a couple of things going on. Near the volcano's vent, the furious collision of rock fragments and ash particles builds up a massive amount of static electricity, creating lightning bolts inside the ash cloud. Higher up in the atmosphere, as the plume rises, ice crystals can form and collide with each other, separating the electrical charge just like in a normal thunderstorm. This can trigger huge lightning strikes that light up the entire plume from the inside. It's an unbelievable display of raw power. Number 2. Blood Falls, Antarctica. In one of the most remote and desolate places on Earth, the McMurdo Dry Valleys of Antarctica, there's a glacier that looks like it's bleeding. A 5-story waterfall pours a shocking blood-red stream out from the Taylor Glacier, staining the ice below. This is Blood Falls. For a long time, scientists figured the strange color must come from some kind of red algae, but the real story is way more incredible. The waterfall is actually the exit for a lake that's been trapped under the glacier for millions of years. This hidden lake is completely cut off from light and air, and it's full of incredibly salty water that's also extremely rich in iron. When a little bit of that ancient water finally escapes through a crack in the glacier and hits the air for the first time, the iron oxidizes. It rusts. That's what stains the water that vivid, creepy, blood-red color. Number 1. The unexplained. And for our number 1 spot, we have to talk about the things that we still just can't explain. Our world is full of phenomena that continue to defy easy answers. Think about the documented cases of spontaneous human combustion where a person's body is found consumed by fire but with no obvious source of ignition. Or consider the countless credible UFO reports from trained pilots and military staff that are still classified as unidentified. Then you have the enduring legends of creatures like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. Science says they don't exist, but people never stop reporting that they've seen them. These are the mysteries that really push the limits of what we know. And they remind us that no matter how much we learn, there will always be more to discover. They keep us curious and prove that the world is, and maybe always will be, full of things we have to see to believe. From icicles of death to fireballs rising out of a river, our planet is just a theater of the bizarre and the beautiful. The world is filled with wonders that really challenge how we see things and spark our imagination. So what's the strangest thing you've ever heard of? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more explorations of our incredible world. Thanks for watching.